Hello, I'm Namisila Pamela Ngobane, and this is the Entity Dynamics podcast. Entity Dynamics is a culture development consultancy where we believe that culture creates behavior and behavior creates reality. The title of this video is The Earth is My Mother, I Shall Not Want. So I actually meant to post this on the 26th of December, but I had a power outage on the 24th, like the early hours of the morning, because someone unfortunately decided to steal a cable right next to the power station. It created a short circuit, which created an explosion, which ended up burning the whole power station down, substation. And then we didn't have electricity until the 29th, which was my birthday. And then I was just like up and down the whole time trying to manage this power outage. Ended up getting a small generator, whatever. Anyway, so I'm posting it today on the 1st of January. And I think it's actually fitting that I'm posting today. And that's something I'm going to expand on later on in the video. Anyway, so the earth is our mother. And that is true because we come from her. Every species that is on the earth comes from the earth, is here because the earth gave them permission to be here. She feeds us. She shelters us. Everything that we need to live comes from her, okay? As a very admired and beloved teacher of mine says, she breathes for us. Now, I've alluded to this teacher before, and if you want to know more about her, please DM me. And I thought about, giving her a shout out by name, but I know that there are people who are just determined to misunderstand things in this world, and so if you want to learn more about her, please DM me. She's very deep. She's very incisive. She's very loving, kind, wise, just awesome. Nay, but she teaches the real stuff. Okay. And if you want to learn deep truth, she's the person to go to, but it's not for people who want their illusions to be massaged or who want to be made to feel good about being in denial. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of content, so-called spiritual content online, and people are just feeding people's illusions, making people believe that, they're perfect in terms of, okay, we are perfect, right? But they are not in need of elevating themselves. They're not in need of raising their vibration and becoming closer to the truth of themselves. There are some channels who really make the healing journey seem like, burning some incense and chanting some mantras and drinking some fruit smoothies or something, and then you're fine. Anyway, please let me know through the messages or comments if you want more information about her, because she's really cool. But I don't want people to misunderstand and then send negative vibes to her because I've put her in a place where she's being watched by someone who doesn't have the right intentions. Because obviously we all know there's people watching everyone, and some people don't watch with good vibes. They watch to break down, have a problem with someone, find fault, whatever. Okay. So she says the earth breathes for us. She's our mother, and she does, because the plants, they breathe. They produce the air that we need for our bodies to be sustained, and then everything that we use, like the case for my earphones, it's made of materials from the earth. It's petroleum, it's fossil fuels. It's the battery in the phone, the lithium comes from inside the earth. Everything comes from the earth. And so she really does provide us with everything. And we need to move past the state of our relationship with her, where we are only taking from her and not giving back to her and not respecting her. Yes, there are people who do. Yes. But the overall culture on planet Earth, this globalized culture that we are living in, is very much a consumptive, extractive culture, with very little regard to the fact that this planet we are living on is a living, conscious being. She has feelings. She doesn't like certain things being done. She loves all the creatures that live on her surface, including human beings, and that live in her oceans and that live in her skies. You know what I'm saying? And she wants us to respect everyone. and she wants all of us to live in harmony, right? So when we start to see the earth as our mother, then we also start to see the lessons that she can teach us, you know. And for me, one of the greatest lessons that the earth teaches us is that everything is part of the whole. Okay. So, for example, if you look at when the leaves fall from the trees, right, they break down, right, from the elements, from the sun, and from the rain or the moisture from the dew. It helps break them down. And then organisms eat the leaves. Okay. And once they've eaten the leaf, they poo out what they've eaten, what they've digested, whatever, what's the waste that they don't use. And that is like premium fertilizer for the soil, which then feeds the tree from which the leaves came, you know. And so in our own lives, everything that happens, good and bad as we see it, is there to feed the future self, okay? To feed the person that we want to become. Okay, so it's not like we have to seek to eliminate anything. The earth doesn't eliminate, she recycles everything, you know. And so if we can see every single experience as a stepping stone to becoming the best version of ourselves, right? A future self that is closer to the truth of who we are, and which is closer to the person we want to be, or even if we don't know really what we want to be, because sometimes we can't even conceive of how awesome we could actually become. But we know that we want to become more truthful and more attuned to the spiritual reality of who we are, right? And so we can see like even negative experiences, right? Something which maybe involved heartbreak and betrayal as something which is like a stepping stone to becoming a stronger person, a person with stronger boundaries, a person who is more sure of what they want to do with their life, is more sure of what they don't want, is more sure of who they will trust and not trust, the places that they will go, the things that they will do, and the types of ideas that they will entertain, the content they will watch, you know. And if we can see things from the earth's perspective, you know, it will really help us to appreciate that the experiences that we have are there to make us better, stronger, more powerful, and closer to the truth of who we are, and also more loving to ourselves and to our fellow human beings, and more empathetic as well, because the earth is extremely empathetic to all of us. The tiniest being has a place on this planet. The tiniest being is provided for by the earth. Okay. And she shows us that we too, as humans who have all this technology and brain power and capacity, should really be turning our attention to optimizing the potential of our empathy to have a better impact on the planet and on the inhabitants, our fellow inhabitants on this planet, you know, in the seas, in the skies, and on the earth. And to also start to look at when things aren't going well, when there's natural disasters, when there is discord, perhaps even in communities, you know, and in countries and around the world. How is this a reflection of our own behavior towards the earth and towards our fellow earthlings, you know? Because I think that, like any good mother, she wants all her children to live together in peace and harmony, to help each other, you know? But she's also a good mother in that she will hold us accountable to our actions. And like the saying goes, to those whom much is given, much is required, you know. And the earth shows us that we all have a role to play. Just like the humble earthworm creates amazing compost, the clouds make the rain, the rivers distribute nutrients across the planet, you know, the plants in the wetlands purify the water. Just so us as human beings, we also have a lot of roles to play. And I think the more we can see things like this, the more we can come to be more peaceful within ourselves and in our relationships with each other.